was asked to work with a group of children on a science project that would involve environmental science and integration of art and first-hand evidence where they're investigating and second-hand evidence that they're collecting knowledge and information from other scientists that have gone before them. And so I designed a project to work with a multi-age group of students called Prove to Me It's Spring. I talked about how they could prove to me that it was springtime, and they would start taking pictures, and they would start doing some drawings, and they would do all this elaborate investigation, and they have to collect the data. Then we have to say, well, what does that really mean, and what do other scientists think that that means? And from that, I realized that these kids, their ability to observe when there wasn't the constant structure of the school imposed on them was phenomenal. It got me thinking, how can we bring back the arts? How can we bring back the skills that are so natural for children? When my sabbatical came up, I knew it would be in the summer and in the fall time, and I knew that soil was a topic that kids had to study in school, so I chose soil. And we started off in Boston, and we biked across the United States to Seattle, to the San Juan Islands. We developed a protocol for studying soil, and that became our journey's focus, is how soil changed as we cycled across the United States. And my son was 11, so we really did it through the lens of an 11-year-old as the scientist who was on this journey with us. So we'd map out 1 square foot of soil. That would become our study site. But there was a lot that we do before we get there. We'd photograph, we'd have this funnel. So we'd photograph as we were biking, as we were approaching the site. You know, what were we noticing and changing around us? And then we'd come closer and closer to the site we'd actually be photographing what was on top of the site. And then we'd photograph as we dug down. We tried to do 1 square foot of soil and then go deep 12 inches, although that was not always easy depending on the type of soil that we had. The idea was that if we got children to be thinking about what's around them, that when they funnel down to really what is that they're standing on, and what's beneath their feet and deep down, that was all information that they could use to help them better understand soil. Children cameras and you ask them to document what they're seeing with narrative, using the little video cameras. It gives you incredible insight into their thinking and what they think is important and their view on the world around them. Our intent was to Skype with a 5th grade classroom, and that was all set up, but we were in such remote areas, oftentimes we couldn't get the connection to do the Skyping. But it's connected to the hydroponics now because that promise of trying to Skype stayed true with the teacher that I was partnering with, and it was this fall then that we actually were able to do the Skyping, where the teacher learned the protocol and partnered then with my students here on campus, and particularly if we want to have a whole class common experience. My students are out teaching in the field, but they're all in different classrooms. This way, my students hear from each other what they're thinking about what other students are saying and their understanding of knowledge. And for our students here, it gives a lens into watching children in a way that they can listen to language, and the way in which they construct questions, and how they have access to students' knowledge. And it was a really powerful experience for me too. When we first started it, the first group that we did was I did most of the talking, and then by the time we got to the third Skype, then my students were engaged and we felt more comfortable with the technology that we were using. I think the direction we're going in is helping these students link with other students where they geographically are quite different. So we're looking into Skyping with the North Country up in northern New Hampshire, and there's some possibility of Skyping with a school in India, so that they are then looking geographically much broader. And we're now getting ready to Skype the hydroponics, which is an outcome of the soil testing and looking at the way that we grow food and food security.